Hello everyone. Welcome to another Java for Android tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about loops and switch statement. I'm going to use the same hello world program that we always use. Now let's say that I want to print this hello world statement 5 times. I can copy paste it 5 times and it will be printed 5 times. What if I want to do it 10 times? I can do that again, and this is 10 times and hello world gets printed 10 times. But what if I want to do it 100 times, 1,000 times, or even 1,000,000 times? It's not practically possible for us to print each line 1,000,000 times. So we use loops in Java. I'm going to delete these lines as we no longer require them. The first type of loop that we're going to talk about is the while loop. To explain while loop, I'm going to create a variable called count and give it a value of 1. The syntax for while loop is while followed by a condition and then the block. So the while loop checks for the condition, and as long as the condition satisfies, it loops over and over again, and if the condition does not satisfy, it exits. So here I'm going to give it a condition while count is less than or equal to 10, execute something. If not, execute out of the loop. So if we keep this as 1, it's always going to be 1, and it's going to be an infinite loop because it's always 1. So we are going to increase the value of count here. So I'm going to say count equals count plus 1. This means that when this statement gets executed, the value of count is incremented by 1, which means, so for example, in the first time when it enters the loop, the value of count is 1, and then 1 is added to that, so it's 2, so count gets 2. And then the next time it executes, it becomes 2 plus 1, which is 3, and count gets 3. And then again and again, the count value gets incremented. There's a shorter way of writing this line, and which is count plus plus, which means count gets incremented. And if I enter the print statement here, hello world is printed 10 times, as you see. And when the value of count is 11, the loop gets exited, and it's only 10 times. So you see how many lines of code have we saved by doing that. The next type of loop that we are going to talk about is called the for loop. And the syntax for the for loop is, it has 3 blocks. I will explain what these blocks mean in a minute, but just remember that it has 3 blocks within the condition, within the parenthesis. So this is the syntax of for loop. The 3 blocks that are checked are separated by semicolons. This is the loop that gets executed as long as this condition satisfies. This is the count variable that we created for the while loop. I'm calling it as I. We can call it anything we want. We can call it even count if we want. So I think that'll be better for you to understand. So if count, so we're assigning that count is equal to 1. We are declaring the variable count and assigning it a value 1. And we say that as long as count is lesser than or equal to 10, execute this. And after you execute this, do this statement, which is count plus plus, which is count value gets incremented. We are going to print the same hello world line that we printed before, and let's see if this works. As you see, hello world gets printed 10 times, and this is similar to the while loop that we did before. And we say that the count variable is 1, the starting value of the count variable is 1, and as long as the count variable is less than or equal to 10, execute this, and after executing this, increment the count by 1. This is how for loop works. Now let's move on to switch statements. Switch statements are not loops, but they're similar to if statements. I'm going to give an example in if statement and show a similar implementation in switch, and we can compare the difference and see which one's better. I'm going to have a variable called int variable1 and give it a value of 1. I need to handle all the values of 1. Let's say if I want to know the value of variable 1 is 1 and do something here, and similarly I want to know if the value is 2 and do something here. If it's not 1 or 2, I need to do something here. I forgot an if statement here. Okay, so do something here. With these two values we have so many flower brackets and so many statements, and there's a lot that can go wrong here. There's a better way to write this kind of implementation, and we use a switch statement to do that. I'm going to write a similar implementation at the bottom, and it's called a switch statement, and it has a switch and the value that you want to switch. And similar to the if conditions that here, we say that there's a case, and we say that if it's 1, do something, and we have a break here, and if it's true, do something, and we have a break, and if it's not 1 or 2, it's called default, and we do something here as well, and then break. So as you could see, this is a lot more cleaner, simpler, and if we have multiple values, we just need to type in case and then have a break and have the block in between those two statements. We can eliminate all these operators and stuff that we need to implement using this. This is an example of a switch statement. Now let's type in something so that we can execute it. I'm going to have a print statement here, and let's say that variable 1 is 1, and I'm going to copy paste it here. It's 2, and then the default is default. If I run this, you see as it's 1 is printed. If I change it to 2 gets executed, and then if it's anything other than 1 or 2, the default is printed. We can add more cases easily. So here, let's say if I want to handle case 0, I can say variable is 0. Okay, so I'm gonna change it to 0, and you see a new case was easily added. Remember that we need to have a break statement at the end of each statement. If I don't have the break statement, even this line gets executed after this. Let's save this and run it one more time. As you see, case 0, this got executed, and since there's no break, even the default got executed after this, which we don't want. So it's better to have a break statement after each case, so that when it enters, it checks for each condition, and then the condition satisfies, it executes that, and then after seeing the break, it breaks out of the loop. That's it for this tutorial. I will see you guys in the next tutorial. This is Alex Vijayaraj. Have a good one.